our selection is probably the result of trauma. So humans are the most K-selected species on the planet. So then how can we talk about some people being R-selected and some people being K-selected? Well, it is because even within humanity, we have a range. Now, of course, there might be some genetics that are a part of that. In fact, certainly there is. And people in different parts of the world have in their environment has encouraged the production of more R or more K-selected genes. However, almost all humans are capable of an R or a K-selected process. So why do some people choose? And this is really the key to it. It's a choice. Why do some people choose a K-selected reproductive strategy for for getting married and having children, and some people choose an R-selected reproductive strategy? So why is there these two different choices? Well, my theory is that K-selection, of course being the natural state of humanity, requires quite a bit of input from the parents. You need two good, stable parents. You need to grow up in an environment without, for example, a war going on in the background, or extreme poverty, or extreme uncertainty. It's really the uncertainty. You can be poor, provided you have enough food to eat. You can be poor as long as there's some sort of certainty. And when you grow up, as many people do today, in a kind of rootless, cosmopolitan, cultureless, gray morass of crap that people call culture and civilization nowadays, they end up becoming very R-selected. They have no roots. They have nothing. And they often, more and more people are growing up as the children of single parents, single mothers, mostly. More and more people are growing up without any kind of ethical standards. And if you want to know what I mean, just very quickly, right now, tell me, what is the most important moral or ethical part of your culture's or your civilization's values? So what is your highest value? Most people, they can't do that. They have to think for a long time about it. This question should be as easy to answer as what is your name. This should be basic part of what you were taught as a child by your parents. So all kinds of people are growing up not knowing who they are, not having any kind of strong identity, not having any kind of an in-group, being in fact told that any in-group preference is racism or sexism or xenophobia. And what's happening then is you get, that's part of it, and then you get this complete lack of training in strategies to deal with problems, so coping strategies. So people don't have any coping strategies, they're more likely to become R-selected. So take a look at some of the problems that R-selected people have. So tends to be a lot of dishonesty. Why do people lie? Aside from the occasional major psychological issue that people have, lying is usually a result of them not being able to cope with reality. People lie mostly, some people lie out of habits and other weird things. Mostly it's because they can't cope with reality. They can't cope with reality because they were never taught how to cope with reality. And when they fail, they don't know how to turn that eventually into a success or to learn from it. And so they can't admit they failed. They can't admit they have problems. And so they have to lie to themselves about themselves and about the society that they live in, either to blame somebody else or to cover for their incompetent parents. Some of the other problems that is common in our selection is addiction issues. Again, those are coping strategies, bad coping strategies. Taking drugs is a poor coping strategy for your stress, but it's what happens when people don't have healthy coping strategies. What this means is two things. One, it means that the deterioration in the quality of parenting would lead to more R-selected people, and we've seen that in society. And we'll see an improvement in parenting will lead to more K-selection. But it also means that if you fix your trauma, if you learn coping strategies, your desires, your interests, the reward you get from being R-selected will go away. And now you have no reason to be R-selected anymore. There's no need for it. It's not giving you a benefit. And that's going to lead to a more K-selected society. This is why we need to encourage people who are R-selected, not look at them as, I mean, there are some people who are going to be a lost cause, of course, but we need to feel sorry for them and encourage them, though, to go and get the help they need. You know, we can't help them continue in their behavior. That's not real compassion. Real compassion is making them face the consequences of their R-selected choices and deeply encouraging them to sort themselves out. Okay, I think most R-selected people, and I'm really like focusing on a narrow group here, white Western European people. I think most white Western European people, if they got themselves sorted out and dealt with their problems, they would naturally shift dramatically towards case selection. This is probably why people, as they get older, become more case selected, because they either work out their problems or they die of a drug addiction or an STD or something like this. So they have to work out their problems or they cannot survive. Unfortunately, most people don't do a very good job of working out their problems on their own. And the very first thing you need to do, you can't say, well, I'm too poor for therapy. Get some friends. Get some case-selected friends if you can. Get rid of your bad association. Start building a tribe around you. That doesn't cost money. It does take time. It takes effort. And it's a bit risky because, you know, you could invest a lot of time and effort and not get anywhere. But, you know, you got to stick at it. Keep doing that and keep trying to learn about your issues. Why do you not cope well with certain problems? Learn to deal with those problems. Learn to take personal responsibility for yourself. And I believe that R-selected people will shift into K by sorting out their problems. It's not that there's some specific trick to becoming more K-selected. It's more about not being such a screwed up, useless human being. So those of us who are K-selected, we need to have some compassion for the R-selected people. You know, they might be acting like rabbits. They might be annoying us. They might even be a danger to us. And many of them are not going to be able to be helped. But when you see an R-selected person making a genuine effort to become more K-selected, help them out. Help them out in a way that's not going to put you in jeopardy of shifting towards R-selection from the bad association with them. But help them out as best that you can. Point them in the right direction. Send them to places where they can get good advice. And if you're K-selected, you probably know where those places are. I think for a lot of R-selected people, especially the lower IQ ones, religion can be very useful for them. It gives them sort of a structure which is easy to follow, and someone tells them what to do because they may not be capable of making their own moral choices, especially after a lifetime of debauchery and degeneracy. So I think that our selection is a result of trauma, especially childhood trauma, that has been unprocessed and undealt with and has left people without coping mechanisms and with serious disabilities in their capacity to act like a normal human being. And if you fix yourself, you become more K-selected. So go get therapy, get a tribe around you, get help, and work on yourself. And if you do that, you'll become more K-selected.